The moment you clicked on this, something clicked into place. Not in your mind, deeper than that. In the quiet, hidden part of you that has been waiting for confirmation that what you've been sensing is real. Because you have been sensing something, haven't you? A shift. So subtle you couldn't explain it to anyone. So quiet that if someone asked you to describe it, you'd struggle to find the words. And yet, it's there. A feeling that the world around you is exactly the same. Same streets, same conversations, same responsibilities, but you're experiencing it through completely different eyes. Like you woke up one morning and nothing had changed, and yet everything had changed. The patterns feel more obvious now. The meaning behind things feels crystal clear. When just days ago, it was murky, confusing, uncertain. You're not imagining this, and you're not going through some temporary phase that will disappear once life gets back to normal. This isn't a phase. This is permanent, irreversible. You've crossed a threshold that doesn't have a door back. You've entered a new timeline, not metaphorically, not as a comforting spiritual concept to make change easier to digest. I mean something far more real than that. You have shifted into a parallel track of existence, where different outcomes, different connections, different versions of your life are now accessible to you in ways they simply weren't before. And the proof? It isn't out there in some dramatic, cinematic external shift. Although those shifts are coming, the proof is in how you feel right now, in this exact moment, reading these words and feeling them land somewhere deeper than comprehension. That recognition you're experiencing, that quiet inner yes, that's your consciousness confirming what your logical mind hasn't caught up to yet. You are not the same person who started this year. You are not the same person who started this month. You might not even be the same person you were last week. Something divine has reorganized itself at the quantum level of your being, and now reality is scrambling to catch up. You've probably noticed things that don't make logical sense. People from your past suddenly reaching out after months or years of silence. Opportunities appearing that feel too precisely timed to be coincidence. Dreams so vivid they feel less like imagination and more like memories from a life you haven't fully stepped into yet. Numbers, symbols, messages like this one, showing up in patterns that seem almost intentional. You wondered if you were reading too much into it. Maybe you were looking for meaning where there wasn't any. Maybe you were connecting dots that didn't truly connect. Maybe you were just desperate for signs that you're on the right path. But what if those weren't coincidences? What if they were calibrations? Reality recalibrating itself around your new frequency. The universe confirming, through every possible channel, that you've made the shift, that you are now locked into the timeline where the life you've been building invisibly finally becomes visible. Here's what most people don't understand about timeline shifts. They don't happen because you decided to change. They happen because you already changed, so completely at the level of identity, belief, and energetic signature that staying in your old timeline became physically impossible. You didn't just wake up and choose this shift. You earned it. Through every moment you chose authenticity over approval. Through every time you walked away from what was comfortable, but wrong. Through every night you sat alone with your own soul and asked the hard questions most people spend lifetimes avoiding. Through every tear you didn't show, every boundary you held, every truth you honored, you became someone your old life couldn't contain. And so it released you. And I know it's been disorienting. I know there have been moments of grief for the life you left behind, even though you know you couldn't stay there. I know you felt lonely in a way that has nothing to do with being alone. Lonely because the people still living in your old timeline can't understand what you're experiencing. They can't see what you're seeing. They can't feel what you're feeling. They're still there, in the version of reality you've graduated from. You can still interact with them, still love them, still exist alongside them. But you're not operating on the same frequency anymore. You're functioning from an entirely different level of consciousness. And that level has access to possibilities that simply did not exist in your previous timeline. The relationship you've been calling in, it exists here. The purpose you've been searching for, it's activated here. The abundance, the clarity, the peace, the power you've been glimpsing, but couldn't quite grasp, They are fundamental features of this timeline, not because you're manifesting them from scratch, but because you've shifted into the reality where they already exist, waiting for your awareness to expand enough to recognize them. This is why everything feels different, why the old struggles don't trigger you the same way, why the old dreams don't excite you like they used to, why you look at your life and, even if the circumstances appear similar, everything feels transformed. You are seeing through new eyes, eyes that exist in a timeline where your limitations were never real, where your potential was never capped, where your purpose was never in question, and the people, opportunities, and experiences that match this version of you, they are already in motion, already rearranging themselves, already making their way toward you through the path of least resistance. Because resistance doesn't exist at this frequency. You don't have to force anything anymore. You don't have to convince anyone. You don't have to prove yourself. You don't have to perform. You don't have to push your way into rooms that were never built for you. You simply have to stay aligned with the truth of where you are now. Stay present to the signals. Stay open to the synchronicities. Stay committed to the frequency that brought you here. Because here's what happens next. Your external reality begins rearranging itself to match your internal shift. Not gradually, suddenly, in ways that will make you look back at this exact moment and understand why everything had to fall apart before it could fall into place. The person who shows up exactly when you stop searching. The solution that appears for a problem you've carried for years. The clarity that cuts through confusion like light through fog. It won't feel like luck. It won't feel random. It will feel inevitable because it isn't coming from outside you. It's emerging from within this new timeline you're living in, from the version of reality where these things are normal, not miracles. And the only reason you can access them now is because you did the impossible work of becoming someone who could exist here, someone who could hold this frequency, someone who could trust their inner knowing more than consensus reality, someone who chose growth over comfort, truth over illusion, alignment over approval. You did that work in the quiet, in the darkness, in the moments no one witnessed except your own soul. And now you're here, in a timeline where everything you built in secret becomes visible, where everything you believed, when no one else believed, becomes proven, where everything you held on to, when everyone else let go, becomes yours to claim. So this is your moment, not to hope, not to wish, not to wait for another sign to appear in the sky, in a number sequence, in someone else's validation, but to recognize what has already happened, to pause long enough to truly feel it, to breathe into it, instead of rushing past it, to stand in it, without shrinking, without questioning, without asking for permission, to claim it fully. Because there are moments in life that don't look dramatic on the outside. No fireworks splitting the sky, no applause rising from the crowd, no sudden spotlight announcing your arrival, just a quiet inner shift, a realization that settles into your bones, a whisper beneath the noise that says, "This is it." And it doesn't shout, it doesn't demand attention, it simply waits for you to notice it. Let this be that moment, the one you look back on months from now, maybe years, and say, "That's when I knew. That's when everything changed. That's when I stopped waiting for my life to begin and realized it already had." Not because something external happened, not because circumstances rearranged themselves overnight, not because someone finally chose you, validated you, or handed you permission, but because you did, because something inside you aligned, because doubt loosened its grip, because the voice of fear got quieter, and the voice of truth got louder, because you finally trusted the feeling you've been trying to talk yourself out of. You're not here accidentally. You're not reading this by chance. In a world overflowing with endless distractions, infinite content, constant noise, you landed here. Out of everything you could be consuming right now, your eyes are on these words. That's not random. It's resonance. Because something in you was ready to remember who you are beneath the conditioning, beneath the expectations, beneath the stories you inherited, and the limitations you absorbed. ready to remember what you came here to experience. Not what you were told was realistic, not what felt safe, but what felt true. Ready to remember that the version of you you've been imagining isn't some distant future you, waiting at the end of a long climb. It's current you, just fully activated, fully embodied, fully expressed. You've entered a new timeline, not someday, not almost, not when everything is perfect. Now, right here, in this breath, and everything you've been waiting for, the clarity, the connection, the breakthrough, the peace, the confidence, the expansion. It's not coming. It's already here. It's been here, waiting for you to stop scanning the horizon for rescue and start anchoring into the present, waiting for you to stop asking, when will it happen? And start realizing it already did, waiting for you to see that the shift didn't happen around you. It happened within you. And when the internal shifts, the external has no choice but to follow. Here's the part most people miss. The moment you consciously acknowledge the shift, you accelerate it. The moment you declare it, you embody it. The moment you stop doubting it, you stabilize it. Energy moves where attention goes. Identity solidifies where awareness rests. Reality reorganizes around what you consistently claim as true. So, if you can feel this, even slightly, don't scroll past like it's just another motivational message. Don't reduce it to nice words. Seal it. Anchor it. Let your nervous system register it. Let your body feel it. Let your mind stop arguing with it. Write this in the comments right now. I claim my new timeline. Not for me, not for visibility, not for performance, but for you. Because when you put it into words, you shift from passive observer to active participant. You stop hovering between timelines, one foot in the old identity, one foot in the new, and you fully step into this one. You collapse the distance between who you were and who you are becoming. And one day, when everything that once felt impossible is simply your normal, when the peace you prayed for feels ordinary, when the confidence you wished for feels natural, when the life you visualized feels lived in and real, you'll remember this moment, the quiet recognition, the subtle certainty, the decision to stop waiting. You'll remember the second you chose to believe your inner shift more than your outer circumstances, and you'll smile because you'll know. This was the turning point. This was the breath before expansion. This was the invisible line you crossed, where doubt ended and embodiment began. This was the moment you stopped searching for proof and became it.